All right, a couple of quick housekeeping things. I still am losing subscribers, and it's a mystery. And I'm beginning to put on the tinfoil hat on this one. Don't know. Most of the videos I do are appreciated and liked. And although viewership isn't all that impressive, I don't think it warrants people just continuously leaving the platform here. What did I have at one point? I think I had like 7,200 at one point. I'm about to go below 6,800, which is bizarre. By the way, this is happening, though, on other platforms. People on Twitter are saying that they're just losing thousands of followers. This is why big tech has to be broken up. I mean, they have to have the same rules for everyone, regardless of what those people believe in. They need to treat people. It's kind of like the equal protection clause. And that's where I'd argue this from. Now, the second order of business is I am going to talk about Tulsi Gabbard. I am on Twitter again, and that might have been a mistake, but I'm going to hang there, and I'm going to pick and choose who I follow and not try to get into arguments with people because I've already broken that rule, and it's about Tulsi. I was making a point to someone that I think Tulsi Gabbard is quite radical. And they're like, no, she's not. She's not. It depends on what your definition is in the context that you speak in. And I think it's intellectually lazy if you sit there and try not to understand someone who is making a point about where we are currently on the spectrum, politically. Okay? Can I show you a few of Tulsi Gabbard's bills? And you may think that they're not radical. But radical, as described by Washington, D.C. politics, radical would be the way it would be portrayed in the media. Remember how radical it was for Tulsi Gabbard to go on a fact-finding mission when she went to Syria? Remember how radical that was? Again, maybe I'm choosing my words poorly. But I do think that Tulsi Gabbard is somewhat radical by today's standards, and it's not a bad thing. It's just a word, and maybe, again, it's a poor choice of words. Is this radical? To amend the Public Health Service Act to ensure transparency within the healthcare system. Okay, the healthcare industrial complex, to put something out there like this is to say, you guys aren't telling the truth about stuff. We need transparency, right? Right now, there's a vaccine out there, and everybody's so excited about it. Soon-to-be President Joe Biden wants to flood the marketplace with vaccines. Isn't that wonderful? Guess what? There's no liability if something goes wrong with you and this vaccine. If you get injected and you pass out or worse, or you get paralyzed or worse, guess what? There's no liability. There's no liability on Pfizer or any of the vaccines that are out there. And if you know anything about the 1986 Act, and Big Pharma got this blanket protection because they don't want to be held liable because they would go bankrupt. And I think that's true, and I think they should go bankrupt because a lot of what they do is like voodoo medicine. It's just really out there. When you learn the stuff that's in some of these products, you just shake your head. If you do any bit of research, you're not going to like what you find out. Okay, repealing the Patriot Act, is that a radical thing? And the FISA Amendments Act of 2008. Is that radical? Yes, it's very radical because the military-industrial complex relies on the Patriot Act to monitor American citizens. So that is radical. Okay? The Transportation-Oriented Development Act. This one probably not so radical. I think it has to do more with infrastructure. I haven't read the bill. But, okay, so that one's not so radical. Remote Coastal and Small Watersheds Act. Again, this has to do with infrastructure. Maybe not so radical, but the fact that we're talking about infrastructure when nobody wants to address the issue of infrastructure, I think it's kind of radical. Okay, HR 8939. This one, to protect pain-capable unborn children. Wow. That's super duper radical. Don't care if you think it is or not. I've already talked about that. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I was demonetized for talking about that. It's crazy, but that's where we're at. All right, to direct the Secretary of Health and Human Services, acting through the Director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, to establish a standardized procedure for all states to submit weekly reports on hospital policies and metrics related to COVID-19. Sounds like more transparency to me. And even though I'm not in the same boat with Tulsi when it comes to how she views COVID, this might get down to the brass tacks of what's really going on out there if it was pushed through. The statistics would have to be audited, and people would have to know the truth about what's actually happening out there. Could be good news or bad news. My guess would it would be really good news because it would shock people, but you know how they're I would say doctoring the numbers a bit. So again, good for her. Protect Women's Sports Act. Holy crap. This one, just look into it. I'm not going to tell you what if you don't know what it is, and I think I've talked about this in a video, this is extremely radical in the day and age where there are no biological differences or biology cannot be recognized as a thing anymore. Remember, a men and a women. Okay? Protection of Born Alive Survivors Act. Can't say the word. This one, extraordinarily radical. Republicans don't even put this stuff forward. That's how radical it is. Break Up Big Tech Act of 2020. You don't think this is radical? I think it's enormously, fantastically radical. And I like it. I like this kind of radical. Now, again, you're going to just laugh and say, well, that's not really what this is. You could use a different word. No, this is the kind of radical I like. Okay? AIPM Act of 2020. This has to do with agriculture. I don't know all of what's going on here, so I can't actually address that. All right, and we can go on and on here with most of what she submits here. To award a Congressional Gold Medal to the Freedom Riders collectively in recognition of their unique contributions to civil rights, which inspired a revolutionary, there's a word, revolutionary movement, not radical, for equality in interstate travel. I don't know if it's radical. I think it's a justified bill. Here we go again. Protecting Political Expression Act of 2020. Right now, in the midst of what's going on with all the censorship, and again, whether you're a fan of the current president or not, not only is he being deplatformed, he's being erased. He's being disappeared. The Don't Push My Buttons Act. Don't know what that is, but that sounds like fun. I don't know what act that is. I should have looked into this. Ensuring survivors' benefits during a COVID-19 Act of 2020. And again, working with Republicans, that's pretty radical, isn't it? If you're a Democrat, that's constantly radical. Constantly. I don't understand when people say, it's not that radical. It's extremely radical. All right, to amend the Alice Spotted Bear and Walter Soboleff Commission on Native Children Act to extend the deadline for a report by the Alice Spotted Bear and Walter Soboleff Commission on Native Children and for other purposes. So this has to do with Native Americans. It's on the Natural Resources House Committee. Don't know. It's kind of under the radar. So I'm going to say it's probably kind of radical. Oh, and this one here. See, this is what I'm talking about. How can you read these and not think that she is like her own category? This is why she needs to run for president, by the way. And again, I know people don't like populist. They think populism is radical. It really isn't. It really isn't. It's pro-American. It's pro-human. It's pro-family. It's pro-worker. It's pro-common sense. Protect Brave Whistleblowers Act of 2020. We know what this is about, right? Hello, Julian Assange. Hello, Edward Snowden. That's radical. Air Carrier Worker Support Extension Act of 2020. Okay, again, this goes into probably the airline industry, working with, looks like some Democrats here, maybe a Republican, I'm not sure, but I can tell you that this might be something that isn't being looked into. She's definitely working she was working a lot of infrastructure and benefits for people that have gotten hit really, really hard. Oh my, look at this one. Unplug the Internet Kill Switch Act of 2020. Now, I've heard people wearing tinfoil hats talk about the Internet Kill Switch. Sounds kind of radical to me. Sounds kind of out there. I can't go through all these because this is going to go for a very long time. Oh, if I'm the referee here, I'm signaling touchdown. The Election Fraud Protection or Prevention Act, right? I'm not going to comment because if you say this word too much, the word that begins with the F and ends with a D, they don't want you saying that because there is none. It does not exist. Tulsi was all over it. This in September. She knew. She was way ahead of this and she had been talking about this. I don't know what the Vanessa Gillen Act of 2020 is. Presumptive benefits for warfighters exposed to burn pits and other toxins Act of 2020. Not the catchiest name, but it sounds as though she's trying to get benefits for those who were deployed and were exposed to burn pits and other toxins. I'm hoping she's got to run. She's got to run for president. Because I think I'm going to stop after this one here. And then I'll do some commentary. The Hemp and Hemp-Derived CBD Consumer Protection and Market Stabilization Act of 2020. Again, talking about, hemp-derived products. Most people on the left and right can kind of agree on this, although you've got some neolibs and neoconservatives that are all afraid of marijuana-based things, so they don't want to push anything through. I'm going on because there's so many of them. Local and Regional Farmer and Market Support Act. Okay, small business protection. Okay, you got agribusinesses. They're bad. That's where you get all of your Monsanto stuff. That's basically what that is. Local and Regional Farmer and Market Support Act. Again, Improving COVID Data Transparency Act. This is brilliant stuff, one after another. Delivering for America Act. So, some populism. Sounds very populist to me. I'm going to stop because the reason I'm doing this video is, number one, this is the nuts and bolts. This isn't just somebody out there doing a live stream and making their tea or talking to their audience or trying to cook something and show how vegetarian they are, how vegan they are, and then lecturing people about their wealth and so forth. No, this is somebody who has a heart for the common man, the common woman, the great forgotten people of America. And that's what makes Tulsi different. But in our current political climate, Tulsi Gabbard is a radical. She's a radical. And anybody else who decides to sort of do things for the common man is, I think, today a radical. Remember, telling the truth is a revolutionary act, according to George Orwell's 1984. And I would say submitting a truthful bill, something that would actually help people when we're sending billions of dollars to foreign countries to study like gender stuff in, I don't know, where was it? Pakistan, I think. And people are just like, oh, that's good. And those of us who've been hit really hard by the last, I don't know, 12, 13 months, those people are kind of left out. And 10% gets to where they're at. Now, again, we can argue too, and my libertarian friends will do that and say that the whole system is corrupted and we need to start over and so forth. But again, if we're playing the game, if you're on the board, okay, and you're playing Candyland with all of these people that want to push money over here, print money over there, can we at least take care of the people, the least of these, as the scriptures say, the least of these among us? That's why she's radical. That's a radical thing today. And maybe that's not the right word. Maybe it's revolutionary. Well, that has almost the same connotation. I don't know what else to call Tulsi Gabbard. Is she a populist? Yes. I remember Stephen Bannon, who worked for Trump, said, she is a firebrand populist. He didn't care what party she was in. He knew that what she believed in was something that would resonate with most Americans. It's not that Trump people have to like Tulsi because she's nothing like Donald Trump. Not in personality, not in the spirit, not in the fact that she is articulate in a way where I think she would be very effective speaking to these things, whereas Trump always, read from a teleprompter and he kind of got through it, but you almost felt like somebody else was in his ear just telling him these things, whereas Tulsi Gabbard, this is in her. This is part of her DNA. So, in any event, that's why I think Tulsi Gabbard is a radical. And you may not think that's the appropriate word, but I'm inspired by all of the things that she tried to get accomplished. Let's put it that way. But these are the things that were in her heart. She felt she was serving her constituents. And these aren't small things that she was trying to accomplish for the most part. This isn't window dressing. This isn't like getting a street named after a fallen war hero, even though that might be a great thing. This is stuff that really impacts all of us. And if these ideas were implemented, I think the world would be a better place. So that's my video. I'm sticking to it. Thanks for watching again. Just a quick footnote, folks. If you could subscribe to the channel, don't unsubscribe. If you get unsubscribed, try to resubscribe, okay? And yes, you can follow me over to Patreon if you want to donate to the channel. Just $1 a month. There's a link to that on the banner page of the channel. I think I've updated all those links. If you have trouble, just let me know. Leave a comment or something, and I will try to look into that. Okie dokie. Radical Tulsi. Over and out.